Straight Talk with your host, Reggie B. Come on, let's all join in. Free your voice, it's your choice, all right here. Oh, Simply Straight Talk.
Tonight, me and the girls were talking, and we were wondering why couples don't watch movies that create healthy conversations about men and women.
That's a good point. There are several movies I think men and women should watch because it really does help them to understand the various aspects of each other. And besides that, sometimes having an outside view of a relationship can help you make things better in your own relationship.
Look at you trying to sound like Dr. Phil over there.
Well, you know, what can I say?
Okay, moving on. There are some great movie scenes that speak on the male and women point of view.
Well, people better watch them real quick because movies right now, seriously, movies are getting rid of any signs of a male character being strong or positive.
See, you did not have to go there. That's a whole nother conversation.
I'm just saying.
We have a great show for you today. So let's get the show started with your host, Reggie Maddox.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Simply Straight Talk show. This is your host, Reggie Maddox. And today, man, I want to talk to you about some movies that I think couples need to sit down and watch. Now, oftentimes when couples watch movies or movies are suggested to people in relationships or couples, it's always movies with a dream love story that has this big, beautiful Disney ending where everybody lives happily ever after and the world is all right. Well, for those of us who lived and know the truth about this world and life itself, we understand that love does not always go the way we want it to go. And a lot of times you're going to end up brokenhearted. You're going to end up hurt. You're going to end up losing relationships that you go back and think like, man, I should have kept that. Or you're just going to be in a situation to where you just been through relationships and they just fell apart. And you're just dealing with the fact that it just seems like if a relationship can go wrong, you're going to pick that type of person that's the wrong person. Now, I have the book on that. Okay. My life is the story of that book, picking the wrong people. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But today, what I really want to do is talk to you about some movies that I really feel can help you, even if you're not in a relationship, but watching these movies and observing both sides. Because oftentimes when we watch movies, we tend to pick a side. And sometimes we're picking based on the issues that are surface level. And we're not really dealing with the internal issues that these characters are really bringing to the table. So the first movie I want to talk about is called Fireproof. And it stars Kirk Cameron and Erin Bethea. Now, Fireproof is a Christian-based movie. And it's the movie about a firefighter and his wife who are having some real problems. I mean, they're not speaking in the house. They're barely talking. The slightest, comment or question turns into an argument, and because of this, they really are not being affectionate with each other. So he's actually watching porn and, but they don't get, showing all that type of stuff. It's just, she mentions it and, you know, that's what's going on, but he's watching porn. So they're dealing with that issue and they're dealing with the issue of the fact that he feels that since he's a firefighter, his job is so stressful. She doesn't understand. She's dealing with issues with her parents, and she feels that he doesn't understand. And it's just the relationship is just going to pieces. And there are people being brought in because he's talking to his friends. She's talking to her friends. And it has a good bit of comedy in it to kind of balance it out. But the movie is just really does a good job of covering the effects of outside influence. The wife, she's dealing with so much with her husband and her parent that's sick, and she's trying to figure things out about that she starts talking to one of the doctors at the office she work at, And your doctor gives the appearance that he's this great guy and he really wants, he cares about her. And, it's just making the husband look like he's insensitive. And the truth is, it's not always what you think, because people will tend to play off of what they hear you're going through and do the things that you say you're not getting or you feel you need in order to sort of move inside. But truthfully, they don't care. And it also shows how misjudgments can happen when your life is in a turmoil, especially your home life. And I think this movie is a great movie for a couple that's really dealing with issues, or even if you're not dealing with issues, to watch this movie and get an understanding of, here's a guy who feels like his job is stressful because he is responding to stressful situations every day. But she works at a hospital. She's dealing with stressful situations every day. They both have jobs where a person's life is in their hands. So that's why I think this is a great movie, because I'm pretty sure that a lot of you are going to work, and regardless of what your job is, you may not be a firefighter, you may not be a nurse, but your job has its own set of tension and its own set of stress levels that you try not to bring home. But sometimes it does come home. And sometimes your mate doesn't understand the stress you're dealing with at work. So it causes you guys to kind of put a barrier up, and you start connecting more outside with people who you think understand you, but they really don't. So now you're dealing with a lot of issues. And I think this movie covers that so well. And the fact that his father comes in and gives him this book, which is basically called The Love Dare, which is for 40 days, he has to do certain things. His father says, look, before you guys get a divorce, because they already agreed they was going to separate and get a divorce, he told them to do the Love Dare, which is a 40-day experiment of him doing something every day for 40 days to kind of change him and change her, to make them kind of wake up to who they are. So that is a great movie. You should watch that movie, because I think it'll really help your relationship. It'll really help you to understand some things that you may not understand about each other. So that movie is called Fireproof. Make sure you check it out. The next movie is called Beautifully Broken. Now, I'm probably going to mess up some of these names. The movie is starring Benjamin Onyaga, Scott Williams Winter, Emily Hahn, Caitlin Nicole Thomas, Dabeko Labada, and Sawela Glishana. The movie starts off in Africa, in Rwanda, during a time when all of the wars was breaking out and people were being killed. And that father there is trying to save his family. And he's trying to get back, so they're trying to escape Rwanda, come to the United States. He gets a visa, she doesn't. They was living on a tent like in a beach area. And one of the guys that was actually going to kill him, who let him go, he plays a crucial role in this movie also. So when you watch Beautifully Broken, spoiler alert, I'm going to try not to spoil too much. But here's the key thing to this movie, because I'm trying not to really spoil this for you guys if you haven't seen it. Beautifully Broken is about three men. It's about three families, shall I say. Three families, and they're all dealing with different issues. One, the father in America, which is a white male, a white family. He's trying to relate to his daughter, and they're having some serious issues. His wife is trying to she wants the family to work and bond, but it's just not working, and he's, in order to take care of the family, he's working long hours. You have another father who's trying to get his father out of Rwanda into a safe place so they don't have to deal with the dangers and terror that they're facing in Rwanda. And another father who's been locked up, he's in Africa, and he didn't even do anything. He was falsely accused, and he's not even allowed to see his family. His daughter is growing up without him. His mother is trying to help the child to understand that your father does love you, but she never gets to see her father, so she thinks her father doesn't want him. So it is a lot going on with these three families. But the daughters of these families come into play also, because you got the one daughter from Rwanda who feels like, well, the white girl, she has a better life than me. She has it so easy because she's got this rich dad, or this, she's in America. She's got it easy. And the white girl was saying the same thing. Well, you're from Africa, so you don't have all the troubles we have in America. So it was just so much going on between these three families. But it is so true today to how each of us are dealing with things and we don't realize how the other person is struggling, nor the stress levels that they put on one person within a family. So I think it's a great movie that you need to watch. There is some more details in there that I don't want to spoil, but trust me, it is a movie that a mother and father needs to sit down, or, saying if you're married or you're in a relationship, watch the movie. You need to understand the importance of a relationship. You need to understand the importance of family values, and you need to understand the unity. And this movie is really going to bring that home to you. It's going to bring it home, the unity of a family being together and the importance of it. So make sure you check out Beautifully Broken. Okay. Beautifully Broken. It came out in 2018. It is a great movie. You need to watch it. The next movie we're going to talk about comes without question. I think everybody knows Fences, starring Denzel Washington and Viola Davis. Now, this movie is about a working class African-American father who tries to raise his family in the 1950s while coming to terms with the events of his life. I would love to have a forum discussion with women about this movie. There are some deep emotional issues that existed within this movie between the husband and wife that are so relevant between men and women today. Now, one of the things about this movie was that the fact that the father cheated. And I think when I hear people talk about this, everybody talks about the fact he cheated. He was wrong. He cheated. He was wrong. But when I watch a movie, I like to see the inside of the characters. What's driving the characters? Now, the character played by Denzel Washington, he was a great baseball player in his youth, but because of his skin color, he was not allowed to play baseball. So he just had to settle for whatever he could do. And he just sort of got stuck being a garbage man. So he never got a driver's license. And he was just a garbage man. And he was older in years. His brother was injured in the war. He got a check, so he bought a house with the money that the government gave him for his brother. His wife, Viola, who's played by Viola Davis, is standing by him through all this. But everything comes to a head when he cheats, has a baby by another woman, and there's a conversation, man, that takes place between the two. There's a back and forth that only these two actors could have pulled off so well. You know, Viola Davis is saying that, you know, I knew that when I married you, that you was bad soil, you was rocky ground, that nothing was going to grow. But I love and stuck by you anyway. You know, you should have been coming home to me. He was telling her that by coming home, you know, it was hard for him to deal with what was going on. Now, he was doing it all in baseball terms. That when he got her, he bunted, he stole, he wasn't supposed to get her. He was lucky to have her. But when he came home, it was the roof needs fixing. This needs to be done. That all he could see were the things that needed to be done that he couldn't do because he couldn't afford it. He couldn't afford to give her the house, the home, or the things she wanted. So what came next was her coming back with, you should have came to me. But he found peace somewhere else. And I think that's a discussion that a lot of men and women need to have these days. Because peace in the home, I don't think people understand how important that is, especially for a man. And I'm not negating women in any way that a home has to be peaceful. But for a man, it has to be peaceful. There has to be a place where he can go and laugh and breathe without feeling like he's choking, without feeling like he's suffocating, without feeling like the world is caving in on him. And like I said, I'm not saying that women don't need that same thing. I'm a man, so I'm speaking from a male perspective. But the thing about it is, I see even though I don't condone him cheating, I see the suffering that he was doing that led him to cheating. Although Viola Davis' character was trying to be there and be that good wife, you know, I don't think that was right. You know what I'm saying? But, and I know people saying there ain't no but to it. She was a good wife. But, you know, when people are suffering on the inside and they don't release that pain, they don't communicate that pain, They will go elsewhere. Whatever gives, it may be a false sense of comfort, but if it gives them a temporary relief, they might sort of fall into it. And I think that's why this movie is so great for couples to sit down and watch. And I think you need to really listen to what each of these characters are saying when they're talking about their relationship, when they're talking about their life. Because there are people out there right now that are going through things in their life, in their relationship, that they haven't disclosed to their mate. They're dealing with hurt and pain that they haven't, talked to their mate about. They're feeling that life has cheated them in some way. They're feeling that they have been given the short stick and they can't be the person they want to be for their mate or for themselves. One of the things that Denzel Washington, was saying, what he was kind of reminded about was, he says he didn't have a pot to piss in. He wouldn't have had the house if his brother wouldn't have got hurt. He got hurt by default. He had nothing. Everything that he got was sort of by default. And sometimes when you're dealing with that issue, that everything that you come by in life is sort of secondary and sort of handed down to you by accident, there's something inside you that eats you up. And the same thing for a woman. When a woman feels like, she's investing in a guy, and although she knows the guy may not amount to what she dreamed of, but when she's giving herself to him, and then all of a sudden he does something like to cheat or, doesn't return the love back, she's betrayed. And she has a right to feel betrayed. What action should she take? Can you be wrong or be angry at her for feeling the way she feels? That's what this movie brings out in a discussion. That's why these things need to be talked about. That is why this is a great movie for couples to discuss. So you can understand what it is you need to make sure that your mate feels comfortable at home. What conversations do you need to talk about? Are you comfortable having these conversations? Because you should be with your mate. Hey, this is Reggie Maddox with the Simple Straight Talk Show, and we'll be right back after this short break.
Free your mind, free your voice right here on Simply Straight Talk.
There are so many talented young men and women attending our HBCUs. Don't you think it's time we show them our support? This year, Reggie will be highlighting HBCU bands, dance teams, and sports programs. And we are inviting you to show your love as well by attending games in your area. When you buy tickets to attend these events, you are helping to support not only the programs, but the great minds of our future generation as well.
We're back with the conversation starter and the voice that works harder. Your host, Reggie.
Hey, everybody, and we are back to finish up our topic with part 2 of today's show. We're talking about movies that couples need to sit down and watch. And I mean, you need to watch them good. Because oftentimes, it's like I said at the beginning, we watch movies, but we really don't watch movies. And I think sometimes couples really do need to sit down and watch movies and have a discussion. Not to the point of arguing, not to the point of fussing. But sometimes when you watch a movie, it can make you realize something about yourself. Not always something about your mate or you feel that's wrong about your mate. But maybe there's something about you. Something that you're overlooking. Something that you can change about you to make the relationship better. And the next movie I'm about to talk about right now is a perfect example of that. And the movie is called Couples Retreat. The movie stars Vince Vaughn, Jason Bateman, Malin Ackerman, Kristen Bell, Kristen Davis, and John Favreau. Now, I love Couples Retreat. Now, it is a comedy movie with a unique way of looking at 4 relationships. And when you look at this movie, man, it is absolutely a hilarious movie, but it will make you think because basically you got four people who are good friends, and I forgot to mention Faison. I don't know why the Faison stars in this movie also. I'm sorry. I forgot to put his name in the starring role. But the movie takes place when these four couples are all going through sort of similar things. One couple thinks like, hey, our life is good. One couple is trying so hard to be perfect and so hard to have that family dynamic that is putting extra stress on the relationship. One guy's in the middle of a separation, which is Faison. He's trying to figure things out. So he goes younger, and so you just got all these different dynamics. And you got another one, which is John Favreau and his wife, who have just sort of feel like they kind of grown apart. They don't do any things together. They don't really hang out together. They're good parents together, but they're not a good couple together anymore. So what's his name? I'm trying to get the guy's name. Jason Bateman and his wife, the character he plays, decides that, listen, we want to go do marriage counseling and we need extra people to go with us so we can go do the counseling trip because we get a discount rate if more people go. So everybody else goes with the understanding that, listen, we're going, but you guys are doing the marriage counseling. We're going for the jet skis, the beaches, the drinks, the fun, the relaxation. So the movie does a great job of really covering what happens when things don't turn out the way people think. When they all end up having to do relationship counseling, there are some things that sort of revealed about themselves, about their relationships. For couples that are just getting by, people who are in relationships where you become so comfortable that you think that you have a great marriage, but your other mate is kind of like, man, I wish we had more of this. I wish we had more of that. So there are things that it brings out that makes each person look at themselves about how their part plays in the relationship and why they're in the state that they're in right now. So I think it's a great movie for couples to watch and just kind of pay attention to each couple and think about yourself when you watch the movie. Think about something about you. And I think this is the perfect movie for that because it has a great humorous spin on it that's going to make you really enjoy it, and it's a great conversation topic. The next movie I want to talk about is A Star is Born with Lady Gaga, Sam Elliott, and Bradley Cooper. Now, I got to admit, when I saw A Star is Born, I was sort of surprised because I didn't know. I remember the original movie, but when I saw this one, I didn't kind of know what to expect. But this movie, man, was a killer. So, it was all that. But anyway, the movie's about a musician who helps a young singer find fame as age and alcohol seems to be his problem and his career seems to be going downwards. In this movie, you see the characters on the screen, but look at the people that they are. Look at the inward part of the characters. Get past all the fame and fortune. Look at the struggles. You got one young lady who wants to do something, Lady Gaga's character, who's trying to come up. One person who's up, but he's dealing with alcohol. Now, he's not abusive or anything like that. He just drinks too much. And we all have people, or we may be in a relationship with somebody that maybe drinks too much. They're dealing with an addiction. This movie does a great job of how that affects the other person, how it affects the person that's caught in the addiction, the emotional strain it puts on a relationship. But one of the things it's really going to show you is how one negative voice can break a person during the healing process. It's going to help you to understand that. So if you're with somebody and they're going through the healing process and they're trying to turn it around, the wrong person saying the wrong thing can change everything. And I'm talking about life or death. So this is a movie that explores that. It explores, dealing with your inner person, man, your inner struggles and trying to help somebody come up, and it also covers the fact of when you're going up and your mate is sinking down, and it's not because of you. That's just the way life is. How do you cope with when you're not on top anymore? So it's a great movie, man. And you can relate that to regular life. You don't have to be a celebrity. You can be somebody that had a great job. You was making $80,000 or $100,000 a year, but now you've been cut back to a job that maybe pays $30,000 or $40,000 a year. And you're not the person you were in the family, making the money, doing the provisions, and the other person is doing it. And you're just kind of like, you feel like you're riding their coattail now. So you don't feel like you are who you're supposed to be or where you should be in life. So that is a great movie. A Star is Born, Lady Gaga, Sam Elliott, Bradley Cooper. Amazing acting. Lady Gaga, probably one of the best performances she's ever done. The next one I want to talk about is from 1961. Do not watch the one with that man Puff Daddy. I'm talking about the movie A Raisin in the Sun, which stars Sidney Poitier, Ruby Dee, Claudia McNeil, and Diana Sands. Now, here's what I want to say. This movie is about a man named Walter Lee Younger, and he's struggling with his station in life. You know, he's sharing a tiny apartment with his wife, his son, his sister, and his mother, and he seems to feel like an imprisoned man. And an insurance check comes because his mother's father passed away. He got the insurance check, so now there's a choice. And the mother is saying, put some away for Diana Sands' character so she can go to college, and then they wanted to buy a house in another neighborhood. And it just problems seem to arise because Walter Lee, played by Sidney Poitier, feels like I'm a giant among ants. Nobody can see me. My life, I shouldn't just be opening doors and driving people around. You know, I should have my own business. I should be the provider. I should be doing something. And he feels like he's not the head of the family as he should be, but he feels like his mother is the head of the family because he's unable to make the money he needs. His wife is played by Ruby Dee, and Ruby Dee is the wife trying to hold all this stuff, you know, and she's trying to deal with, you know, him going to work, coming home frustrated, feeling degraded as a man. And she's trying to like balance all that. And she's just caught in the middle of the struggles of her husband dealing with the fight in the world. They're coming home and trying to find peace. But at home, it's nitpicking because he needs stuff. The family needs stuff and he can't give it. He wants to give more, but he's in a position where he can't. So it's a great movie to look at yourself or a person and sit down and discuss as a couple. You know, what is it when you have that man in your life who wants to do so much but feels like his hands is tied, or that woman in your life who wants to do so much and feels like her hands are tied? You know, how do you deal with that frustration instead of taking it out on each other? You know, this movie really speaks to the struggles of family household. When your dreams and your wants for your family seem impossible, how do you deal with it? The next movie we're going to talk about is Jungle Love. That's right, starring Wesley Snipes, Annabelle Sacaro. I probably just screwed that up. Spike Lee, once again, the great Ruby Dee, Ozzie Davis, and Samuel L. Jackson. Now, when we talk about the movie Jungle Love, I put this on here because there are a lot of people who are involved in interracial relationships, and they face challenges that maybe some couples don't have to deal with. And in this case, you got a couple things. You got to deal with a man who's involved in an interracial relationship. And now, you know, his concerns with that. But you also got to deal with a man who's at a job. You know, he has a good wife. He's listening to the stories of his secretary. And there's just mixed emotions and the feelings starting to grow after they're working together late nights. Now they have to deal with an affair. They got to deal with, you know, dating each other, dating outside the race. It's just a lot that plays into this as far as the home life. And that's what these movies are centered around, the home life. And I think Jungle Love is a great one because it makes you think about the fact of, you know, is it worth losing what you got at home? It makes you think about the challenges that you're going to face. And this will sort of go along with the movie Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. But I think Jungle Love is a little more up to date and modernized to fit this situation. And so you're dealing with the consequences of an affair. You're dealing with the interracial relationship. And then you're also dealing with other people and voices and opinions. And you're dealing with when you're working with somebody and they're exposing their life to you and you start to feel sentimental towards them. What do you do when that sentimental feelings turn into affectionate feelings? You know what I'm saying? So, and the consequences of that, because oftentimes people will work together and then all of a sudden they start to feel like, wow, I'm having feelings for this person. So that's something to think about. So that's why I recommend Jungle Love. Now, the last movie that I want to recommend for you today is an older movie, but when I first saw it, I laughed, but I love this movie. It's a movie called A Guide for a Married Man, starring Walter Matthau, Robert Morse, and Inger Stevens. Now, this movie was made in 1967. It's a comedy directed by Gene Kelly, and it features a large number of cameos. Including Lucille Ball, Jack Benny, Terry Thomas, Jane Mansfield, Sid Caesar, Carolina, Joey Bishop, Art Carney, and Wally Cox. So those are a lot of older celebrities. And this movie has quite a bit of comedy, but the situations in this movie will make you think. And it does have a good moral ending. But when you watch this movie, they're going to show you little snippets because they're going to have like flashbacks taking you where the guy is telling Walter Matthau stories about other people because he's basically trying to teach Walter Matthau how to cheat because he's Walter Matthau's best friend and Walter Matthau and his wife are not really great. And the guy's telling him, cheating helps. And basically, he's going through what he does to cheat and how other men cheat. So he's giving him the do's and don'ts. It's a funny story, but it really does have a good moral. But it shows how you can be in the influence of somebody else could rub off on you if you don't know how to handle it. And it shows you the mistakes that people make. And it shows you the consequences of cheating. So this is a good movie. It's a Guide for a Married Man. It is a great movie for couples to sit down and watch. It's funny. It'll make you laugh. So definitely check it out. Okay, we got to take a little break, and I'll be right back with the final thoughts.
Don't even think about it. We got more straight talk just for you.
Hello, Simply Straight Talk family. If you are enjoying this episode, at the end of the show, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. And why not share this with a friend? Also, visit our blog at newlifenewmind.com, where you can find additional articles on more great topics. Stay tuned. The show will continue right after this message.
Are you ready for the straight truth? Reggie, what's the final word for today?
Hey everybody, welcome back to the final thoughts of today's show. Now today I gave you a list of movies that I think you need to sit down and watch with your mate, with your spouse, your loved one, your boo, your bae. You know what I'm saying? Because these are movies that you can sit down and watch and talk about. Some of the conversations are going to be really heavy from these movies. So make sure you just have an open mind, man. Be respectful. And remember, you're just talking. You're not arguing. You're not fighting. These are movies. So you're not trying to take sides. You're just trying to look at the movies, get some learning points to apply to your relationship to make your relationship stronger. Maybe help you understand some things about yourself that you need to do with your mate, so that your mate will be happy, that they're coming home to a peaceful home, that they feel like they can communicate and talk to you, and they don't feel like somebody else is giving them something that you're not giving. Each one of these movies offers something good, so make sure you check them out. Hey, my name is Reggie Maddox. Thank you for tuning in right here on the Simply Straight Talk Show, and don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Pass it on to everybody else. We'll be back next Friday with another great show with some more great topics. And don't forget, subscribe to the show so you can win those tickets to an HBCU event this year. So if you want to catch a football game, subscribe, holler at your boy. I'm going to get you some tickets, man. All you got to do is just pick them up. All right? So, hey, thank you for listening. I really appreciate all the love and support. I got some great followers, man. I got some great people on here. So thank you. Make sure you guys subscribe and like, and I will see you next Friday.
That's this week's episode. Thank you for listening and being a part of the Simply Straight Talk podcast. We truly appreciate your support. Be sure to visit us at simplystraighttalk.com to join the conversation, access show notes, and discover our fantastic bonus content on Patreon. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to join us next week for another episode.